Hey Aniket,
Hey
I
Pradeep.
just how are you doing?
Yeah, mine was a last minute entry.
Okay. Right. Acha guys, so I am in a mobile signal area. We had a Wi-Fi outage, unfortunately, in the last minute. That's why I'm not able to do a video. In case I get cut off, I'll join again. I mean, in case there's a call that comes through, I believe internet might get turned off. So please bear with that.
Sure. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We have a very diverse panel among the sector of drone tech with us today to discuss this sector and what it holds in future. What we have entrepreneurs, we have an investor, we have a customer of drone tech with us today. Thank you everyone for joining us. And yeah, so I would like to introduce the panelists to you. We have Aniket Madhusudan from AirServe. We have Prem Kumar from Marut Drones. We have Badri from Special Invest, and we have Sachin Piani here. And we have Pradeep Paleli from Amazon. Thank you so much, panelists, for taking your time and being with us today for this discussion. So yeah, Aniket, why don't you start with introducing yourself, and then we'll follow suit with everyone.
Sure. Thank you, Sandhya. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Aniket Madhusudan. I'm the co-founding director for AirServe Initiatives. So I'm an architect by profession, and I've been working with the drone industry since 2 years now, ever since I understood the scope of its technology in revolutionizing the construction industry. So we founded AirServe with this idea of providing a multidisciplinary UAV service where we combined our expertise in aerial surveys and data analytics to address the existing challenges that industries like construction, inspection, mining, and agriculture face. So we have our operations based out of India, and internationally we operate from the Middle East as well as the USA. So to talk quickly about our past works, we have been working with various government and private agencies and building custom products, some of them being T-Birds, T-Miner, and topographical surveys. To talk about T-Birds, it's a construction offering where we use drones to survey buildings and identify violations. It's basically an effort to regularize construction in urban cities and generate revenues through these violations. And a T-Miner is our mining inspection, where we generate reports for mines with over 99% accuracy to understand how much of minerals have been excavated and also to reduce illegal mining. So we have actually qualified for the POC of the Department of Mines and Geology, and we hope to be empaneled for the RFP as well soon. And finally, we started off with topographical surveys where we have covered over 1,000 kilometers and have generated high quality orthophotos, 3D models, as well as one of the best 3D meshes in the market. And while we were rolling out our core products, we realized that there were new opportunities available and there was scope for smarter flying. So that's when we noticed that the scope of drones technology's future at least lies in autonomous operations. So that's when we pivoted and we expanded our product line to be a full aerial services company where we're not just going to be specializing on aerial surveys or data analytics, but we'll be providing autonomous UAV solutions with next gen products. And some of the next gen products we have been coming out with this year are cellular connected drones and a police aerial surveillance system and medical delivery drones. So to talk about these real quickly, we have rolled out one of our first drones that is a 4G LTE hexacopter, which is going to be called the AS100S. So this is a hexacopter capable of carrying payloads and it has enhanced range because of 4G LTE. And the same 4G LTE we are using to also build a quadcopter that's going to be used for dispatch, security, and surveillance, and also for on-demand BVLOS. So we demonstrated this technology along with the Telangana police, where we had a fleet of 10 drones that were monitoring the crowd during one of the early COVID unlocks, where people had to monitor, where the police had to monitor people are breaking curfews and gatherings and stuff. So there was a central command and control room where the inspector could monitor and control all 10 drones and get an idea of how the situation is in the city. And finally, we just built our medical drone, which we hope to demonstrate for the Medicine from Sky initiative rolled out by the Telangana government, where we'll be using a 4G delivery drone, which has this enhanced range and it's quite stable enough to deliver medicine, blood, and vaccines. So we are a part of the BVLOS consortium for this. So once we do get certified, we hope to roll out all of these proof of concepts onto the market. And besides this, just to summarize, like we were just a very young and innovative startup, who believe that UAVs will soon integrate with every key industry which contribute to the GDP. And we are just equipped to go along the ride with our line of autonomous and industry-specific drone products. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aniket. Sachin, why don't you go next?
Thanks, Sandhya, and thanks, Aniket. Uh, I'm Sachin Punyani. I am part of the Amazon team. I'm part of the Amazon AWS team actually. So I'll give introduction from two sides. One is like from the drone consumption consumer side, that we have in Amazon one thing called as Amazon Prime Air, where we are already working to find out the different solutions for drone based deliveries. The other aspect is all the drones actually need some kind of infrastructure to work on. So I belong to that AWS team where we provide the infrastructure for the drone based solutions. We provide support to different startups or even the enterprises where they want to leverage drone based solutions. Some of the examples where we have worked actually recently is one of the some of the PSUs who are trying to do some kind of inspection on their thermal plants or even their renewable energy plants like solar or water based plants. So they want to gather some kind of data and do some analysis on top of that. So we are working with those organizations to help them out. Then some of the organizations who are just trying to capture the volumetric information of the mine from in, extracts from the mines, and some of the organizations who are just trying to do the survey, collect the information, and try to do the crop yielding. So we are working in different industries where we are supporting different organizations. We also have signed up an MOU with Drone Federation of India, where we are supporting any subscriber of Drones Federation of India or any member of Drone Federation of India to just scale down the solution. So all the drone solutions need some kind of data, and I mean they capture the data, so they need some kind of analysis. They need machine learning on top of that. So there we come forward and then try to help them build major AI based solutions with them. So I look after the AI solutions and analytics based solutions for India and South Asia for Amazon, for AWS. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sachin. Prem, you next.
So, good evening, everyone. As we Marut Drones, we started 2 years back, and we did a progress of last 1.5 years with the emerging technologies like drone and IoT and the data. So, to start with this thing, recently we extensively deployed our drones for the COVID purpose, so for disinfection or for the real-time surveillance purpose and speaker announcement, predominantly in Telangana, all the districts, like 21 districts we have covered and everything and extensively. And then the predominantly we have established few of the use cases where we used the drones for the mosquito eradication, for agriculture, and for the medical delivery. In the March, exactly 1 week, 2 weeks before the COVID, we have demonstrated the medical delivery in the Olympic airport and everything. And predominantly, we've been working closely with the drone companies which are available in Hyderabad and India, working closely with them to increase the adoption of drones and increase the more use cases of the drones. And predominantly, we have been working on the hardware and the technology both. And we've been majorly what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring these all drone solutions and solve the most persisting the problems which are around us through these emerging technologies, drone, IoT, and the data. So at present, we have been fully working closely in Andhra and Telangana, and we are expecting to expand in next 6 months to the other states and everything. So our work has been used as guided the what we're doing it, and we look forward if anybody is interested to know more about us and everything. I definitely wanted to take you through what we do and
Thank you so much, Prem. Badri, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. So I represent Speciale US. We are in early stage VC investing in deep sciences and deep technology startups at the early stage. We broadly invest in software product startups and investor hardware startups. And so started in 2017 by Vishesh and Arjun, and so far we have made 10 investments and we have more of a pipeline. So we focus more on the technology aspect than GTM or business model innovation. So we give more importance to the product and the founders, right? So and we come in at the very early stage as an VC, then Yeah, and to specifically to since we're talking about drone tech, uh, uh, we, we have been looking at the space for some time, and we are we are very much excited about the space and the technology that can be used for various verticals and use cases. So yeah, we are equally bullish on the space, uh, and yeah, hopefully we get to make an investment very soon.
Thank you so much, Badri. Badri, we are having a slight disturbance from your end in your audio. I mean, no, it's coming a little broken.
Okay,
Now it's better. Yeah, now it's better. Sorry.
I'll try to keep the microphone closer.
Yeah, yeah, that's better. Cool. So Pradeep, please go ahead.
Yeah. So is my voice audible and clear?
Yes, it's clear.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So hi everybody, my name is Pradeep. I represent Thanos Technologies. We are a Hyderabad-based 4-year-old drone manufacturing and services company. Our major activity is on the manufacturing front, where as on date we have a agricultural spraying drone, which we have in-house designed, built, tested, and commercialized over the last 2 to 3 years. And shortly, we are about to launch drones for surveillance inspection purpose as well, which will have one of the highest flight times in the country. Our specialization is mainly on the front of designing any kind of drone that is required. So basically, it could be payload, it could be surveillance, it could be spraying, it could be delivery, it could be anything. Custom designing is one of our specialties that the team has. And this is what led us to create agriculture spraying drone with India's highest flight time as on date, a 10-liter capacity drone that has 20 plus minutes of flight time. And banking on that, we are building more drones to standardize for various applications. On services front also, we've been pretty active over the last 2 to 3 years, where we have used our own in-house drones for services like agricultural spraying on a per acre service basis, where we have actively worked in Telangana and AP. Same model will be expanding to surveillance, inspection, and surveying activities as well, on which we have already done quite a few pilots in agri and non-agri space. And we also have our future roadmap that involves defense-related applications, wherein micro recon drones, short range and long range, naval applications, and on-ground applications as well. Yeah, that's a brief introduction of what we do.
Thank you so much, Pradeep, and thank you so much to the rest of the panelists. We made it in time to start a discussion, but before that, let me just introduce T-Hub to the audience who are new to our webinars. So T-Hub is an ecosystem that, ecosystem enabler that envisions to build a sustainable and a thriving ecosystem, startup ecosystem in Hyderabad. So we basically function with a triple helix model of innovation, wherein we divide our resources based on different stakeholders that we work with. Example, industry, academia, governments, corporates, etc. So we have been there in Hyderabad. We are based out of Hyderabad. We have been functioning since 2015, and we have been working and we have been working with 1100 plus startups till now. And we try to support to our best the startups with better technology, talent, mentors, customers, corporates, investors, and government agencies. We also work with we also work with government bodies, both national and international, to support them in support them in any way that would transform their business models in terms of how to incorporate innovation in their day-to-day functioning. So yeah, like really glad that all of you could make it today, and let's dive into the discussion. The topic for today, as you all must know, is drone technology, the untapped UAV. The first question that I would want to have opinions from everybody over here is, why drone tech? Like, if you are a customer who would want to use drone tech, or if you are an investor who wants to invest in drone tech, why drone tech? Prem, why don't you take this first?
So basically, there are a lot of problems which are around us, like where it comes from the health or agriculture or the few of the problems which the all the companies which we've been working towards is it's where they're taking manually or it's taking a lot of time where it's were not able to happen with physical people and everything where drones were brought into the possible. Like example, like Pradeep will also say same in the agriculture space where they're doing the pesticide spraying and everything. So where the farmer earlier, due to direct contact, there's been majority of farmers have these health issues and like more of the active health on the people who are using the pesticides, direct contact and everything. Drones have disconnected that and gave a safer kind of the operational efficiency. So majorly we could see like both like in operational efficiency and in scaling the work and reducing the time and reducing the money where drones have been predominantly useful. So in India, we have the adoption wise we're very less, but you see in China, Japan, and few of the countries where the highly drone adoption has been scaled and massively they've used. One of the incidents of the COVID and locust has brought a lot of confidence among the people and the farmers and the government officials that drones are really useful for them.
Okay, thanks, Prem. I would like to know the opinion of Sachin on this as well. You have been working on the drone tech vertical as well, right? So as a like Amazon as a entire company, you've been trying to, I think from 2011, you've been trying to incorporate drones but there have been regulations around it, etc. So how have you changed your perception or like why, drones? Why interest in drones?
See, what I mean, I'll just add to what Prem said actually. So there are two things actually. One is like multiple things being done manually, which can further be automated with the drone. Some things which actually we feel are being done already. Just I'm just taking the example of say GIS mapping. We know that satellites are capturing lots of GIS data, but the level of resolution that those satellites give and the cost at which they give, drones actually can give far better quality, far better resolution at much lesser cost. So it's next advancement in that GIS. So uh, second is some of the things, as I said, if you just want to monitor some of the thermal plants where it's not easy for somebody to go in and then scan the images and identify what's wrong there. So that's risky. I mean, you would not want to send humans there to risk their lives. Drones can go there easily and can do the stuff. So again, some of the tasks that we wanted to do for better efficiency, for better performance, for and more commercial viability, so drones bring in there. uh, Drone based deliveries are one of those. Actually, we know that we are able to deliver the stuff, but drone based deliveries will be much faster and will be also cost effective. So it's natural advancement of technology going further.
Okay. So, Badri, I would like to know about your opinion on this as well. You have been, investing in space tech for quite some time, and I hope drone tech is also very lucrative as an investor. So, what interests, special or you in general about the sector? What excites you?
Yeah. So, uh, yeah. So as you had mentioned, we have made investments in a space tech startup that aside. So, what we are typically excited in drone technology as itself, like as Sachin had mentioned, people are trying to use various kinds of data, be it satellite data, be it data captured from the drones or any cameras, and adding algorithms on it and and also share insights to the various stakeholders in various verticals, right? So now drones are being used in construction, drones are being used in energy industry, for the maintenance work, for the cleaning work. Drones are being used for indoor scanning and navigation, and of course drones are being used in defense, right? So so we are more as an investment as a firm, we are more interested in to see what would make them stand out as technology itself compared to the other sources which can offer the same insights, right? So if let's say if an indoor place can be captured by a camera, whereas the same can be captured by a drone or a camera attached on a robot, right? So we would like to see apart from apart from the hardware that is used to capture the data, how is it more as an engineering level, how is it different compared to other things, and what is the most value add for the customers? So at the end of the day, the customers are not they're not more focused upon how the data is being captured, be it am I getting the insights from satellite, am I getting the insights from drone, or am I going to get insights from a regular camera or a robot. So they are more concerned about what value they are going to get from the data that the stakeholders share. So as a firm, we are very bullish on drone, and we are seeing only evaluation of drones. So we at the current stage, we are looking at drones that I can, not just drones. We it is called eVTOL. It's a vertical takeoff and landing vehicle, which functions similar to drones, like taking off and landing, and that is going to be used to transport people. So that excites more. That is more exciting for us because it's innovation in various levels in hardware, and it's also it is going to save cost and time for people to travel, and it also has it's all regulation and etc. Same like EVs. But this is future tech is what we are looking at. So we since we invest in those fronts, and also the barrier to entry for various drone startups and various drones have come down. Now drones are available in the market as off the shelf products, and people smarter teams are being put together to quickly build drones for various use cases. This just probably projects a picture that the barrier to entry, and also it's not getting very difficult for smarter teams to build drones. So what happens after that is what we are very curious about. So hence we give more importance to the engineering, the hardware, and the IP around it. So and we are very bullish on drone.
Very
aspect
good
of
point that you brought here, Badri. So I would like to ask the startups here. So has the barrier to entry reduced? And if yes, then how do you, differentiate between the barriers from now to when you started? Is there a difference? Did you, yeah, so talk about the entry barriers that you faced while, venturing into this sector. Yeah. Reem, you want to go first? Go please.
Yeah, so there like example from I could see from the March to now that almost 100 plus companies have added in India itself in the drone space. They've been doing it survey, spraying, surveillance aspect and everything. So I think drone gonna become like the mobile phone, the commodity where anybody will have the drones and everything. We see where, like example, we specifically made one customized overall comprehensive for the one of the problem statements we've taken is for the mosquito eradication and disease prediction, where we brought the hardware like drone, IoT sensors, and technology for effective surveillance and the early disease alert and intervention activities. So predominantly first we started using drones, and then we started understanding how do we bring the data. So we started building IoT devices. Then once we are getting data, we started getting the historical data and history of data of day wise, week wise, month wise, and started doing prediction models of how disease can outbreak for the malaria and dengue in the city and everything. So now overall we have brought the integrated solution which can visualize the data effectively and able to prompt the interventions where the drones can be used for the eradications, and the overall what we brought was the integrated solutions. That's where we see going forward a lot of integrated and more of the analytical and tech aspect brings a lot of differentiation and the entry barrier for the companies which are working in the drone space.
Yeah, so Aniket and Pradeep, please. Yeah, Aniket, you go first. What do you think?
Okay, so when we entered the drone space, the initial barrier which we faced was knowledge. So we had to educate people about the technology. So even though we were sound about the technology existing and the capability of the technology, the first barrier was educating the client and the customer about the technology, which we were able to do. And I would say that in the past 2 to 3 years, India has definitely started adopting drones for various use cases. It was initially just surveying, but now you can see them using it for railway lines. You can see them using it for mines. You can see them using it for spraying even locusts and whatnot. So the barrier of entry, even though has eased, but now we are at a stage where the drone is still at the nascent level, where you have 100, 200 startups that's rolling out year by year. And it's getting very hard for these startups to stay afloat because most of the projects that are coming out are either through defense or from government. The private sector hasn't still adopted this technology. So I feel India that way is still at a very dicey place, at least for startups. You have 100 startups, you might be able to make 10 or 20 that's going to do well from these government tenders, from these defense tenders. But there is still a huge scope where these private companies still need to adopt the technology and roll it out so that every drone company in every region of India would be able to profit and would be able to survive and contribute their own share to this industry. So I felt the barrier of entry initially was educating the audience, but now I feel the barrier of entry is everybody adopting the technology equally, so that the technology isn't going to be just located at one place. It's not going to be with the government or the defense. Correct. Yep.
Pradeep, what has your experience taught you?
Yes. So if you don't mind, I'll take a minute to actually touch upon your previous question. I had a couple
Sure.
of points on that. So it was a very interesting question that you initially put forth, as in why drone tech. That's a very interesting question, at least to us, because whenever someone comes to us with an application, first we think, I mean, even though we are a drone company, we think, are drones the right platform for this? Now, so there are applications where drones are the only way of doing certain things. There are applications where drones mainly give monetary benefits and efficiency improvements, etc. For example, agriculture spraying, surveying, and whatnot, wherein they even give new insights also in the case of imaging, which is normally not possible using satellites at that resolution. But there are applications, again, which don't need to be done by drones at all. For example, during COVID time, there was a lot of work that was happening on using spraying drones for disinfection of buildings or roads. We ourselves did a couple of pilots and we realized that it is not an effective way. I mean, using drones is not the most effective way. At least the way it was being done by most of the companies having the more or less similar kind of drone specifications. It was like I said, it's not effective in any manner at all the way it was being done. So we recommended the same thing to governments, industry bodies, and all. So a tanker-based solution or any other ground-based solution was proving more effective, and similar steps were taken in that front as well. So whenever something comes up, we first think, is this the best way of doing it? And that's how we determined even for agriculture spraying. We looked at what were the issues in tractor-based methods, what are the issues in knapsack or battery sprayers. And that's how we realized there were significant benefits in using a drone in terms of efficiency. The fact that, for example, in rice, you can't even enter the field at certain stages. It's very difficult to humanly walk in and spray at a decent efficiency level. So these are problems that cannot be solved by conventional methods of spraying. So that's what we realized, and we built that solution, and we have been doing it in the field as a service also ever since. So that's something we always look at. Why drones? And then how best can you build the drone or the solution so as to get the maximum value out of it. Now, coming to the regulatory, coming to the barriers, I mean, we are one of the earliest drone companies, at least in Telangana, Hyderabad as well, wherein initially we started off with surveying solutions using DJI Phantoms and normal drones off the shelf. But pretty soon we realized that we wanted to start building something to address immediate problems that are there. One of the areas that we targeted was automation, for example, in agriculture spraying itself. But we've been working in medical, at least we've been building prototypes and doing pilots in medical delivery space and other spaces as well. But what we realized was the technology know-how, it might take time, it can be gathered, it can be learned a little bit. But for any private industry or new technology to strive, regulatory clearances should not be a barrier. I mean, I'm happy to say that things have been moving over the last 1 to 2 years at least. At DGCA, where a new leadership has taken up and quite a few applications are being cleared. But initially, there was this worry among us as well and the investors also, where investors, Badri can comment more on this maybe, were shying a bit away on certain drone operations or manufacturing part because the regulatory aspects were not in place yet. But in the last 1 year to 18 months, at least things are being cleared up, and that's a positive sign. So going forward, I would say it's more of as a private industry, as private applications rather than just commercial applications. Government applications like railway and monitoring. What is going to be approved? What is going to be allowed? And how are the investors also going to pitch in and what is their view to enter and add capital to this industry so that things can scale up pretty quickly, like it has taken up in China, Japan, US, Europe, where drone deliveries are already happening. Regulatory wise, we might be a bit away on that front, 2 to 3 years, or maybe even more than that. But these things go hand in hand, regulatory and investor aspects as well.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pradeep. So next, I would like to ask Badri and Sachin. So from drones have as all of us agreed upon, and everybody almost mentioned that they were not so available to everyone to even every photographer having a drone today. So the application has the range of application has also widened. So, how has your perspective or how your point of view changed, from the initial years of, drone technology to now? And as Pradeep also mentioned, the regulations are also easing up. So, what do you see in future for the sector as a whole, in terms of market size, in terms of how much applications can be increased? Yeah, that's it, please. Go ahead.
See, some of the points actually Aniket and Pradeep actually covered. Uh, See, initially the typical challenges were the reach. I mean, I won't call it the machine learning. I won't call it the solutions behind. It was like, can really drone go far? But now that reach point has been solved. I mean, we have the drones. We have now the VTOL with the multiple rotors. So the drones which can go far, but also can land and take off very easily. Now the second leg of tech that we see is that how actually are we going to give enough power, how are we going to give enough software based solution to the drone to complete its own task. Like Pradeep just took one example of giving the pest control mechanism to some precision agriculture kind of mechanism on the drone. Some other I'm not talking about machine learning based solution here, but I'm just talking about some physical kind of activities that were being done, now being done on the drones with mechanical parts attached to it. So how can they be done with much more precision? How much logic can be run on the drone? Even in the current parlance, if you see, drones are primarily being used for capturing the data only. So drone data is captured and then is brought to the backend. Even I know only 2 or 3 companies who are trying to stream or send the data directly from the drone to the backend. Otherwise, major projects, data is captured on some kind of pen drive or the attached storage and then brought to the backend and then analyzed. But what we see in some of the projects in pilot is that people are one way trying to connect it to some of the network. Aniket just shared that they are trying to connect it with the cellular network. Other people who are just trying to create a local area network between the drone and the positioning center or the control center there to stream the data. Other ways that people are also trying to bring in the models, machine learning models or other models itself on the drone, so that rather than you trying to analyze the images or videos or other kind of data or sensor data that you're capturing, you just do the analysis itself on the drone and take the action there itself. Second major leg of transition that we are seeing right now in some of the pilots that we are on, the drones, we know that number of organizations have scaled drones are organizations are now scaling high and using multiple drones, hundreds or thousands of drones. So managing those drones is difficult. So now another technology we call is IoT is coming together. Now drones are being treated as regular IoT stuff, so we call them as flying IoT. So instead of somebody sitting at a control center managing them, they are being managed by the IoT gateways itself. So this is the next leg where we see that, I mean, this convergence of IoT, AIML and drones will make autonomous drones operation much easier, I feel. And I feel that industry is on right track. This evolution will take place and you will see many more autonomous drones in maybe in 1 or 2 years to come.
Thank you so much, Sachin. Badri, you have anything to add here?
Yeah, sorry, I've turned off my video. I am facing some bandwidth issues, but hope you can hear me.
Yes, we
Right. Yeah, so I think it was rightly mentioned by both, I mean, by Sachin, right? So, gone are those days where, now, of course, everyone now can, access a commercial drone, right? Thanks to DJI, thanks to GoPro and all that part is over. That is for commercial use. Right? So we are typically trying, we are primarily trying to focus on industrial drone use cases, right? And think how I see the evolution is drone is like a platform, or drone is let's say it's a piece of hardware which can probably navigate in spaces where other ground-based robots or AMRs cannot navigate. So it can be used as an efficient piece of hardware to navigate and collect information. So those are the first few aspects to keep in mind. The other part is the compute part, which Sachin had mentioned, right? So the compute part, computation is basically processing the information that has been captured by the drone, be it image or be it video, and right. And usually, what happens is, once the drone, once the drone is done with capturing all the information, it comes down, and the information is being fed into the cloud, and then the insights are being shared. It usually takes days, to reach the customer, right? So thanks to all the computation power that we are getting, or thanks to AWS and thanks to cloud service providers, and also they're able to increase the compute efficiency. And also the other part, what would make the drone how can the drone process the information at the edge, like at the drone level itself, and immediately share information to the customers, right? That is the key or important part where the evolution is also happening. But that compute part can also be the same with any robot, or be it with any IoT device, right? That's a compute part, and that is being powered by various companies that would enable a piece of hardware to process the data at the point of capturing itself, and then share with the customers, right? And that would save a lot of time, right? And it would save a lot of manpower, etc. So that is happening. On also the other end, now drones are being seriously considered for transportation use cases, not just for delivery, right? Of course, there are regulatory hurdles, etc. But there are drones, or there are vehicles that can vertically take off and land, and these are autonomous vehicles that would in the future years would usually transport people like for 300-400 kilometers, let's say from Chennai to Bangalore, right? It would usually take 6 hours or 7 hours by road. You're going to do it like in 2 or 3 hours, and this is autonomous and a battery powered vehicle, which is also environmentally friendly, etc. So that's the evaluation we are seeing, and that is actually happening in India, and that is one of the core reasons why we are excited about this space and also very keen on investing.
Great. Thanks, Badri. So one question I have for everyone. So how much do you think stakeholders, whom entrepreneurs are dependent on, the investors are dependent on, and even customers like Amazon would be dependent on? So what stakeholders, development of drone as a technology, and also, the sector as a whole from business and technology sides, what are the stakeholders that each of you are dependent on, and what changes or what innovation do you think it requires for maybe fulfill what Badri has just told us is in store for the future? So yeah, Aniket, do you want to tell as a startup what are the stakeholders you're dependent on mostly in order to reach the maximum capacity of your team, of your technology, or drones in general? What are your dependencies?
See, number one would be the availability of components and the tech in India itself. See, first of all, like people outside India have reached 5G, and here we are trying to get 4G out. So I believe that the major problem I face is, even though we have the greatest ideas that we can implement in India, it is very expensive to implement those ideas. That is the number one problem that we face, especially that we are talking about autonomous 4G drones, which we hope to sit on top of cars and take off autonomously, charge wirelessly. Even though these technology exists today, but implementing them is not very practical when you go to a client and you tell them, here I am going to sell you this drone which is doing all these cool things, but the price point is going to be exorbitant. And that's not because it needs to be exorbitant, it's just that the stage at which India is right now to create such a product is very expensive. It probably wouldn't be so expensive outside. So that would be the first problem I face in going to industries here.
Yeah, thank you. So Prem, I think we discussed this in one of our T-Hub community meetings also, getting parts from outside, even the, at the, I mean, you have faced a lot of problems. Do you want to, talk about that?
Can you repeat one second the question?
No, I'm saying that, we discussed this before in a community meeting as well, that, you facing for importing parts from outside. So, would you like to talk about, what was the problem and how you actually resolved it, and what is,
So,
to be done in order to make it easy?
yes, still like 99%, all the companies and all the corporates have been depending on the parts on importing from other countries like China, like a few of the other countries, because we only design here and we assemble here, and we do the customization based on the design and everything. But still, the motors, propellers, or the frames and everything, somewhat people are trying now. And majority of companies have started talking about like they're coming up with their motors and from a few of the parts and everything indigenously from India and everything, but still we have not seen. But we are happy. We want to definitely want to encourage and want to use the, if someone does in India the motors, propellers, and any of the parts of the drones and everything. But still, we've been depending on the batteries or motors and everything outside the country. Still, people are saying they're making batteries, but that still depend on the cells which we bring from outside or which we create and everything. So there is a still dependency of the import and everything is there. And we had a very bad during the China ban and everything. A lot of people have stuck there. Still, people have stuck their batteries and few of the drone parts to tell their source of the goods and everything, and they've been there. So going forward, I see a lot of people have started building them in India itself, but the cost parameter has been going to increase when compared to earlier. So that's where we could see. So, but I'm still like few people like in Hyderabad itself, one of the companies trying to work on the indigenous, the engine aspect, and then few companies I know which are working in India itself on the few of the parts and everything. So in next 6 months to 1 year, we'll be seeing a lot of companies which provide the parts which we were importing from very long for building the drones and assembling the drones.
Okay. Thank you, Prem. Pradeep, I want to add one more thing to this question, and I want you to talk about that. So,
Sure.
since like Prem and Ankit have talked about the problems, can you, give us, can you throw light on, how drone companies collaborate with each other, like to like in order to sustain themselves, or in order to better the product or optimize their operations. So what have you ever partnered with another drone company? Is that something that any company or any founder looks for? And yeah, so if you have done it, what has your experience been?
Right, right. Yeah, not to repeat what Prem and Aniket already mentioned, those are all absolutely valid points. I agree with them as well in terms of availability of components. And just to reiterate, people are trying to indigenize certain components. We are already working with a few manufacturers locally, either on carbon fiber sheet materials or aluminum components using CNC machining. We do a lot of 3D printing, wherein we use new kinds of composite materials so as to indigenize certain of these. But like the rightly maintained, like the rightly just mentioned, it becomes extremely expensive also to do it in the short term. But it's a long-term game we are playing in terms of the technology and the applications that are there as well.
Yeah.
So it's worth all that effort that we and the other drone companies and manufacturers are putting in. In terms of the collaborations, Prem and Marut Drones is one of the examples where we worked together in the past, be it on the mosquito spraying front or various other agriculture and other applications. In some of the applications, wherein they were actively working with the customer in the front end, we partnered with them using our drones to provide the services jointly with them, and they handled the IoT aspects, analytics, and other aspects. So yeah, that's one front where I would say we've partnered with a few drone service providers by supplying our drones and working with them jointly. In other cases, also similarly, because we mainly work on the front of manufacturing the drones and providing proper AMC spares and other technologies for operation. We mainly partner on that front, giving the drone and supporting them from the back end. I mean, wherever we don't have our own service operations like agriculture spraying, that's how we've been able to support a couple of other drone service providers also. Now we worked with AirServe also on some small capacities, and we look forward to working with them in a larger way in their operations in the future as well. Now, on the medical drone delivery also, now when you say drone companies, it doesn't strictly mean someone who makes the drones. It could mean the software for the drones also. So there we've been working with certain UTM companies. There is Avianco, there is PDRL. We've been trying to work with certain of these companies in pilot projects, be it medical delivery and other aspects. And we have also started integrating 4G LTE modules in our drones, where Sachin rightly pointed out a few minutes ago that very few people are currently live streaming video, but most are logging it on the pen drive itself. So I would say that it is a bit standard now, wherein certain companies like Flightbase and others have started offering platforms to stream data, fleet management operations, and all this. It's a question of properly having a 4G LTE module, be it from Qualcomm or any other company, and how do you integrate it and build application around it so that you do analytics either on board. So when you say on board, it's more of edge computing. That's where I would say there is more collaboration to happen with these software service providers, wherein you can do certain computation or edge computing on the drone itself, rather than wait for latency issues or any other issues that might crop up when the data comes over to the backend in some headquarters or office somewhere, which again could be solved by 5G whenever it can be launched in a major way and expanded. But yeah, I would say a lot of collaboration that we do happens with the drone service providers and drone software companies.
Thank you, Pradeep. So it's again a question to everyone. So do you think technologically to innovate in drones, how much do you depend on, say, bigger companies like Amazon or any GIS solution? So like for you to, maybe optimize your own product, does technology, become a barrier ever that, hey, we don't have something this advanced, so that's why I can't do this function for my drone? Like, is that ever a problem that you faced, that you weren't able to deliver some functionality of your drone because the supporting technology is not advanced enough?
See, only certain like AWS or if the companies are providing only certain credits where we could able to use and everything. But since the space is also evolving and everything, so they're also we have been in touch with them and everything. So I see is that's not a constraint as on today. The only thing we could see is they also trying to understand and trying to facilitate what is needed, like process, what they need and everything. So once it comes like this edge computing or a few of the more on edge kind of the processing kind of the use cases, then they become very critical and where we totally depend on them. At present, more than 50% drone companies are not depending real time with the cloud kind of usage and everything. They're doing offline, and after that, the processing cloud and the providing the data and providing the results and everything. So that's where we are presently using for one use case where you use extensively cloud, but not the real time cloud and everything, where we process and when then we give the results in the real time aspects to the end customer through AWS.
Okay. So yeah, any of the startups have anything to add on this?
Yeah, I can actually add to that because I have been using AWS extensively, mainly because most of our operations are cellular based where we need to host a server somewhere. And that way, what I'd like to say is technology, even though it hasn't been a barrier, the use of technology can still be limited at this day and age is what I felt, because there was an activity that I was able to do with AWS and there was an activity that I was able to do with the local desktop myself. So right now, at least, I wouldn't say the technology, I would say the end user is at that point that even though there is technology existing at this point, this stage, we really didn't have to automate it up to that extent where we had a real-time cloud AI processing, because that has a bunch of added costs to us, which our end user is still not willing to pay. He's still at the stage where he's adopting drone technology, and he has to still reach that mindset where he knows the advantage of a real-time processing, cloud-based AI and stuff like that. So even though the technology exists, it might not be feasible right now in the market, is what my outlook is. I mean, if someone disagrees, that's fine, but this is what I feel. Technology, even though it exists, it need not be used up to that extent because of the status right now it is with the end user.
So yeah, Sachin, you have anything to add on this? Is like Amazon doing something to improve its services in order to support these startups better?
Yeah, I take these points actually what Prem and Aniket said. So I'll share actually this. This is the same feedback actually that we were receiving from different drone organizations when we started working with DFI. We had signed the MOU in January this year, and thereafter we worked with multiple organizations. One common pattern that we observed, I was directly involved there. One common pattern that I observed was, see, drone based solutions are high tech solutions, and most of the people engaged in the solution development are high tech guys, and they know their drones very well. They have real good understanding of how drone works, how drone based solution would be developed. But when it comes to leveraging the underlying infrastructure, I found that uh, it was like they needed some kind of hand holding there in optimizing the stuff. As Aniket just pointed out, that some of the things that they might be using for real time uh, processing or something might be overkill, because your focus right now is on building the right solution so that you can give value to the end customer. But with this approach, somewhere you end up spending little more on the infra because you are not focusing there. So what we did, we started a program with DFI where Prem just said credits is just one part, where we know that when you will be starting up you might need some kind of support there. But the other aspects are technical support, so that you know drones well, but we handle at the backend side how you optimize, how you scale. Second is customer side. If we look at the customer side, customers are looking out for end-to-end solutions. In a couple of scenarios I took actually, where the survey, we were engaged in one of the geographical survey. We were engaged in one of the thermal plants for monitoring the plant for plant components actually. So customer actually did not want to go into nitty gritty of the technology. They wanted end-to-end solution. So there we helped the organizations, or we are rather helping actually them build the end-to-end solution. Whenever they have certain queries on the technical aspects, we on the back-end aspects, we do help them out there. The technical support, the GTM support, we provide them. One more point here is now, as the I will say engagement is evolving. Now people have started in the next phase, have started asking that when the drones are capturing, again drone is capturing their data on the pen drive only, it's not edge based solution. But when data is being captured, it is coming to the back end. Now they want to process it fast, so that as soon as data comes in, or maybe every 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, the models should be refreshed and reports should be generated very fast. So then in the second phase, I'll say that second phase has started, where you need optimized backend to bring your solution in the right cost for the customer. So this is the phase, I'll say. How we are helping is we are providing the technical support. We credits are there, and at times when you go to customers and you want customers to explain end-to-end solutions, or you want to go for some kind of POCs, we come forward and help you out there.
Thank you, Satyan. I'm sure like this does a lot for our startups, and I hope you come up with better solutions and better support for drone tech startups. Badri, I have like one specific question for you. So again, Special has been investing in space tech startups, and as Sachin mentioned, even drone tech is a high-end technology for at least in India right now, and everyone has agreed that it's still nascent. So can you share like little experience of Special investing in space tech, and what you are looking as an investor like looking forward to as an investor when investing in drone tech startups, and what kind of an experience you have had with space tech, and what you're looking forward for in drone tech?
Sure. I think there are two questions, which our experience with investing in space tech startups and what we look forward for what we look for in a drone tech startup. So the ideology is the same, right? So we are more very IP or technology focused investors, and we specifically give importance towards the risk reduction aspect. And India as a country and the talent that we have can easily facilitate that in terms of the talent pool that we have. So just to give a quick example, so what we saw was the ability of a company which to build a launch vehicle or a launch vehicle platform in India with way less money, right, compared to the same company or a different company in the West or in the Europe. and they would easily raise 3x or 4x for that in the first round. So right, so India is a great talent pool, and there are a lot of people who are able to support, including the academic institutions, right? So it all started as a research project, being supported by various research, various researchers, right? And what excites us is the frugality in the space, be it drone or be it space tech, right? So, and also what is more the most important aspects in India is we are uh, we can build frugally, and we can also build for the world, and we are being and ISRO or India, we are being applauded for our frugal innovation. So, and startups can probably build in a faster way is what we believe in, with, quickly putting together with what they have, rather than not spending too much time on what they do not have. So they quickly put together, with what they have and what they can get access towards, right? So our experiences with, just to summarize, our experience with space tech, is great as in terms of the learning, and we're barely only scratching the surface, uh, right? And we're very bullish on India for the space tech ecosystem and for the entrepreneurs that are trying to build in the same sector, right? So we are equally, enthusiastic, very equally enthusiastic about the space. And for the drone tech sector, I would say the same. It's not going to be way different, because anyway, these are hardware innovations, and that's also how we see that. And and we are trying to see with whatever technology, whatever parts that they have, how can they innovate, and how can they solve better is what also is what we are looking at, right? And there are various aspects of various innovation at the manufacturing level, or the let's say it, it, let's say I heard that there is some issues with the access to components. That's true, but there is also companies that getting access towards the same parts in a different way possible. So we're just trying to see the ability of the team in terms of how we quickly they can source and build for their customers. That's also a key important factor. And what specific, we're not specifically looking at only specific things from the drone tech sector. We know that it's it will be a very evolving space, and we are probably catching up on that wave which has happened outside, right? And we would definitely build in a very frugal and a faster way because of all the advantages that we have in terms of the geography, right? So that is that's something that we are very excited about.
Thank you. Okay, I think it's time that we take few questions from the audience. So, okay, okay. So nowadays useful, but somewhere was asking in the proper guide. Yeah, so there is a question about recreational purpose of drones. How much do you see it raising, like commercialization of drones? So, like, what do you think, like, in how big a market that is, and how much, should, like, startups like who are doing industrial uh, drone tech as well, should they be, can they, diversify into this as well? Like, anyone, please, if you have any. Anyone who wants to take it up, please speak.
Yeah, hey Sandhya, this is Pradeep from
Yeah.
Thanos.
Yeah.
There's two things to this. As in, when you say recreation, even photography, marriages also comes into this. And what I've seen is almost the remotest areas also nowadays, any marriage that I attend, you see a drone flying over your head. So that way, I mean, be it DJI that might have popularized it across the world, it has become affordable, and sometimes it's fancy. Like I said, there is applications where drones are necessary and where it is either improvement, sometimes not necessary, sometimes only fancy. This could be one of those applications, but people, it's the same way you want to use a GoPro or any other fancy item when you go out for recreation purpose. There are a lot of toy drones also being imported from China. Any supermarket, you can find a small nano drone, 50 grams, 70 grams weight, which can fly for 6 to 7 minutes. So kids use it, even adults use it, slightly bigger ones with slightly bigger cameras. So there is a definite market for it. you can expect certain products coming out on this front also made in India. Small drones under 250-gram category where you don't need a lot of permissions. If you can fly it below 50 feet, you don't need any kind of permissions at all under 250 grams if the drone is there. Now that's a space that's definitely going to be there. How big is it? I won't be able to comment due to the fact that nobody even knows how many DJI drones are there in India. They're not always brought into India in the proper legal route, be it customs or government. Nobody knows how many numbers are there. So once you start manufacturing it in India, you might be able to put a proper number on that. But I can confidently say it will be in the tens of thousands of numbers. Requirement will be there. Even if you take the number of villages or districts, almost everywhere people either are buying the small drones or renting those drones. So there is that market. Not to mention the photography, cinematography also, where you don't always need those heavy cameras. Even smaller cameras, if you see almost any movie nowadays has a aerial shot of it. So even there is quite a bit of potential. It's just a question of are you still going to import or are you going to make it in India? I mean, we ourselves have a roadmap wherein we want to bring out under 25, 30,000 small nano drone, which has applications for recreation, but also given the kind of sensors you can put, it might straight away be used in the defense purpose also, as a way of doing some kind of recon or surveying, and it is expendable in the sense that you don't need to send a person anymore or a soldier anymore. So whatever category you take, there are recreational, commercial, and defense-related applications also in that size, I would say.
Okay. Anyone else wants to add anything on this? Cool. We can move on. So one question for Badri. So yeah. So can you? So people are asking, can you give an overall, scenario of how investment for hardware startups works?
Sorry, could you repeat that? How does investments for hardware startups?
Like what is the scenario of investments into hardware startups? Like yeah, so like how favorable it is for investors. Like what do you look for while even evaluating a startup in hardware space?
Okay, got it. Okay, so there are different types of investors who invest in different stages of the startup. So we are very early stage investors who would invest typically when they have a prototype, right, and a working prototype or an alpha prototype, right? So because we cannot expect at the stage that we would not expect a full commercial hardware. It will be very tough, and it's not practical, but people are doing that in terms of the startups who are building it. So what we expect is the ability of the team, right, and their background, and how have they done it, how are they have they done something in the similar space before, and how and their ability to put together a prototype which is somewhat a lesser version of the commercial prototype that will hit the market, right? And their ability to develop is also build the hardware is one of the key aspects that we look for, because when we invest in, we only have the team that we can evaluate and their capabilities, and we are basically investing on the team only, the stage we come in. So because we do not have metrics at that time, it's hardware and they're building it. We do not have anything apart from their enthusiasm, their excitement, and and their ability or their background as what they have done, right? So these are the few these are the few aspects that we look forward to, and right, and also not necessarily that people have to come from the same background to build that. So if you take one of our founders, so he was in an Ivy League in the US, and a Wall Street banker, and he's building rockets, right? And but he was an engineer in his UG, and he's also pursued research in that space, right? And that led to the founder building that startup. So we try to see what is the motivation, for the founder to build it, and how he can do that, how we can lead the team, right? And also frugal innovation is what we look for with the money that they can probably raise. like how better that they can build. These are the few aspects that we look forward uh, from a startup in a hardware space.
Okay, thank you so much, Badri. Sachin, we have one question. It's not directly at you, but I think you would be the best person. So the thing is, so people are asking, how do you see, drones being used in warehouse management? Like any of the entrepreneurs are also like, oh, if you want to like add to it, please go ahead. But yeah, Sachin.
Yeah.
Sure. See, I mean, from the drones perspective, there is no dearth of use cases. So not directly from the warehouse, but somewhat related use case I can share where I have been engaged in discussion somewhere. One of the shipping organization actually who runs the cargo ships as well, they have large cargo ships reaching their dock, and they then unload the containers, and then their team sitting at the office at the back comes to uh, the cargo ship, analyzes the space, and then they decide that how much extra, I mean, they do have some plan initially that how many new containers will be loaded, but they do initial analysis to see that can something more be added to the existing planned container list. So they spend huge time in deciding that, and then the containers are loaded. Now they think that can this be automated. This is a very good use case of drones which they are thinking, where they and drones with analysis or the software on the edge as well, where drones, instead of the team sitting at the back, drones can go do the analysis of the vacant area after the containers are unloaded, and decide, identify how much space is there, and send this information back to the office via the Wi-Fi route within their dock itself, and then decide. If you see, this is a similar case where we just said that we could do some kind of volumetric analysis of the different kind of minerals or different kind of items being extracted from the earth. So it is also the same case where we just identify some vacant space and try to do some kind of analysis of the dimensions, how much more vacant space is there. Similar use case exists for warehouses as well. I mean, it can be applied there.
I actually would like to add to that. So basically, you all know how there's same day delivery and Black Friday sales that Amazon comes out with. This puts a lot of pressure in the warehouses on how the people inside are going to get the products out. So drones are going to replace people in certain aspects so that those people can be repurposed internally for the supply chain to function efficiently. And a drone can do the job of 10 men in scanning barcodes, in inventory counting, in cycle counting, in kind of figuring out what product should be shipped out on what day and if there's any space available for slots and stuff. So this is going to be one of a big use case indoors, especially because you don't need any permissions to fly indoors. A nano drone can do this job, so you don't have to worry about any permission whatsoever. So I believe this is going to be an entirely huge and separate industry by itself.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I think we have exceeded our time also. But one last thing I want from the entire panel is each one of you, please tell one new opportunity that you're looking forward to in terms of drones. Yeah, anyone, any volunteers to go first? Sure, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Mine would be building inspection using drones.
Okay, thank you. Prem, what is one new opportunity you're looking forward to?
So we've been working for this mosquito eradication disease prediction. So we're trying to scale it to make it more prediction better and everything. So we wanted to make it more for the humanitarian case, the drones, where we're trying to help them in the present situations.
Pradeep?
Yeah, I would say on the current drone platform that we have, what we are doing is automation, and we are very keen on completing the picture of precision agriculture, wherein we want to bring in intelligence also in addition to automation. That is basically using cameras to do certain analytics and predict when to spray, what to spray, so that the entire cycle is complete in terms of automation and intelligence. But in addition to that, we are looking at other applications of our new platforms in defense as well, for micro, like I said, the micro recon drone, which can be an expendable asset at a very small size, undetected, so that a soldier doesn't need to actually visit a place and try to gather intelligence over there. So these are a couple of examples, I would say.
Thank you. Badri?
One thing I wanted to stress is because in the country, lot of people are using drones for agriculture, for spraying different purpose. So we are working on a research where, at least for next 1 to 2 years, where we're working for creating SOPs for this spraying and diagnosis. So because a lot of people have started using it, but nobody had did a scientific trials and nobody has come up with detailed white paper or SOP on how to use, on what crop, what height, and everything. So we've initiated the research with the university, and we've been working on it. So hoping we'll be coming soon with a SOPs and a white paper on crop wise spraying and diagnosis SOP.
Okay, that's really nice, Prem. Badri, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I've not be. Say I'm not able to give a specific, opportunity. So we are. Yeah, I mean, so basically, how we see drones as, not just as a hardware, it's a technology that is being scaled up and down for different, different terms of different types of use cases from for various verticals, like for spraying and praying. Spraying in agriculture, for inspection, right, for data capturing, etc., for transportation, right. So we are more bullish, or we are more very we are excited for futuristic use cases. One could be transportation, right, payload carrying, not just for delivery, but large payloads of more than 100 kgs, right. How can they be transported autonomously, for more than 200 300 of kilometers, without IC engines. So this is something, at the core level, very, and it's a very engineering problem than rather than a business problem. So we are more opportunistic, and we are more bullish on companies that are going to solve for that.
Sandhya, we can take one question from Mr. Sachin. He's been waiting since long. Uh, if it's fine with all the panelists.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Uh, uh, Mr. Sachin, you can ask your question, please.
No, I don't have the question actually. I
No,
was just.
no, there's a question from there is a Sachin in our audience also.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
you.
Yeah, actually, I have few questions, but the few main questions were like, what are the few major challenges you face in the supply chain industry? Like when you are entering as a drone capture, or is it image capturing or low quality images, or else the scanning, or how do you actually analyze the data?
Supply
Like, yeah, you get the question, or do I have to frame it again?
No, I think I get the question.
Because actually here I try to actually mix the two questions.
Okay. So supply chain, I'll be able to get to you. So what we use is supply chain. We go on scanning barcodes and integrating that with the MIS, the management information system that each and every warehouse does when they set up their own warehouse. So we integrate with that system, and we do nothing but scanning the barcodes or any image recognition through the basic camera mounted on the drone, and that goes directly to the management information system to compute and give you the answers to what you need, whether it's cycle counting, inventory counting, or whatever. I hope that answers the question.
But the thing is there might be few images or few times when you scan it, you won't be able to get the whole quality. Sometimes there will be lack of the quality of the image when you try to capture the images. Like how do you deal with such low quality images?
No, it's not going to be such low either, because we will be using cameras that will be capable of even conducting surveys. We're capable of conducting surveys where we capture images with every 20%, 30% overlap, and we don't miss it. So
Okay.
I believe we can build drones that are capable of clicking stable images. And even if there's going to be a very small percentage of error that's going to be part and parcel of any project that we can address when it arises. It's just going to be a recounting, or it's going to be a reflying, which will still be faster than manual counting.
So yeah, so there is still a void which needs to be addressed, right?
Yeah, a very small word, I believe.
Yeah, and that is like one of the major. Like I need this for my thesis, so I'm still working on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to talk to you later on if you'd like more.
Sure, we will
yeah,
have to
definitely.
put you in touch, Sachin.
Yeah, thank you, Aniket.
Sure.
Yeah, Sachin, we were at you for your new opportunity.
So I won't add on the opportunity side, but one thing I'll just say that we are working hard, and we are looking also, or expecting also, that now the drone companies will come up with the end-to-end solutions. So we know that people are trying to solve some precision agriculture, some mining solution, some supply chain solution. But when we go to customers look out for, I mean, they have their own business problems, and they look out for solutions in the drone technology. So rather than going into the minute nitty-gritties, they just look out at how end-to-end solutions will be done, because their challenges are from the procurement side. So we feel that now over a period, I mean, we know a few players have started offering end-to-end solutions. Now more end-to-end solution in different industries will come up, and we are already working hard. If more organizations are, want to associate with us, we can work hard with them as well to help them build their particular industry solution end-to-end.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. I thank all the people in the attendees. Thank you, panelists. This is our first of many sessions to come on a particular technology. We wish to do more and more of these on different sectors, different technologies, and wanting encourage entrepreneurs to talk about their problems, talk about their experience. And yeah, thank you. This has been a very good 1 hour discussion, more than an hour. Sorry for extending the time. Thank you so much. And everyone, all the participants, I request that once you leave this page, you will be given a feedback form. I request all of you to take 30 seconds of your time and fill it. It just helps us make these sessions better and more relevant to you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.